who happens to be practice head of IDC, Dimension Data India Limited. Dimension Data India Limited is one of the data centers created by BSNL and organized by BSNL at Ahmedabad and other places. So, Cherian, please take over.
Good evening to you all, Honorable Chairman, dignitaries, and my friends. Very good afternoon to you all. If you attend a full day college and you hear that the last lecture is cancelled, how happy you would have been, isn't it? I love to do it, but then I will make it as short as possible. That is on the lighter side. Probably we have seen this picture. This is an NIST, this is a picturization of remote voting infrastructure from NIST. We have discussed enough about end-to-end data flow, end-to-end verification. I would like to focus on two things. One is connectivity and central IT infrastructure. So, and I represent BSNL here. So that is the core strength of BSNL. BSNL is a telecom service provider in India, and they have the best reachability across India. Around 200 plus physical MPLS POPs across India. There are 5 regional data centers in Pune, Noida, Kolkata, Chennai, and Bangalore. The BSNL has got the best reachability to villages. As we heard in the morning, India lives in villages. So the best connectivity to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities and villages is being provided by BSNL. BSNL has got around 5.5 lakh kilometers of fiber, which is laid in India, which is laid across India, and that's what about the connectivity. So coming to the second part, that is a central infrastructure for remote voting. So how can BSNL contribute to that? As we all know, the data center is no more uh, confined within 4 walls. There was a time the infrastructure guys used to control the application. Now it's no more the picture. Now it is everything based on the outcome. The CIO, the CEO, the chairman, the MD, the head of IT wants the outcome. So based on the outcome requirement, the infrastructure is designed, connectivity is designed, the application is designed. So the concept of infrastructure is moved from the servers and storage to the outcome basis, and that includes the cloud, public cloud, private cloud, managed hosting, outsourcing, managed services. So if we go quickly, so this you all know, so I just want to skip it, but then just to give a glimpse of it, basically there are 4 forms of cloud, and what I would like to propose is using the cloud infrastructure as the central infrastructure for remote voting. So we heard a lot about capex versus opex. How does it benefit to us? So I've read, though I'm not an electoral specialist, I've read some of the papers, including Dr. Puvi ma'am's paper. So what I've noticed is that most of the places the infrastructure used was the cloud. So there are 4 type of clouds: public, private, community, and hybrid. You all must be knowing the definition. Let's go ahead to save the time. Uh, how does the cloud benefits remote voting? So what are the value proposition brought by cloud for the remote voting or Election Commission of India? It brings in strategic agility. You know, election does not happen always. Election happens, few days in a year. So the infrastructure requirement is only during the election period, and that's what the cloud brings in. You use it for your requirement and then surrender it back. So that brings you an agility, time to launch. The election, the government declares the election, then it is the job of election commission to deliver it timely. So that's what it brings in. It also brings in auto scaling. As the load increases, the number of compute, storage, the RAM can be increased. So that's what the cloud brings in on the table. Operational freedom, the Election Commission of India or the application developers can focus on the electoral process than running behind the infrastructure. The cloud brings in the operational freedom. Risk mitigation, we heard a lot about risk today, and the cloud brings in a mitigation of the risk in many ways, starting from the resources, dependency on the skilled resources, dependency on the computers, servers, the certification process. So there is already set up ready-made infrastructure available which will be shared and utilized for the requirement. Total cost of ownership, needless to say, when the shared infrastructure comes in, the cost of ownership is going to be very limited. Now, when you look at a data center or the central infrastructure, what do you need actually? You'll be talking about, we need storage, you need network, you need compute, you need OS and virtual machines. Now, this is what you typically see in a data center or in the central infrastructure of, for that matter, any of the system. Now, how does the cloud brings in advantage? It brings in a single pane of glass for the management, end-to-end automation. So using a portal, the administrator, the application developer will be able to manage the entire data center, starting from probably from the firewall to load balancer to compute to storage to network. The IP assets can be managed by a portal, and that's what the cloud brings in. So I usually say a mini data center on your desktop, and that's the advantage cloud brings for the for us an infrastructure. So the orchestration layer is the key for any of the cloud setup, and that's what BSNL brings on the table, and definitely the remote voting infrastructure can benefit from that. So cloud is scalable in true sense, so that's what we said, the remote voting infrastructure definitely needs to be scalable. So your CapEx versus OpEx, you use, pay as you grow and pay as you actually use. Scale up or down, probably during your development, the resource requirement is very limited and you provision only that much resources. When it goes online or production, the testing phase, whatever you need, you can increase or scale up. Auto scaling, as the load increases, your infrastructure can be increased or scaled up. In the end, you make India more greener. So that's what exactly the cloud does. Security aspect, I think I'll skip because we have enough discussed on that part. So one of the points to be noted is that in the cloud, when you talk about cloud, people doubt about the security of it. So we have enough discussed. So one point I would like to make is, so when you talk about a multi-tier architecture application, and that's what typically even a remote voting infrastructure would need, you will be having the web layer, you will be having your application layer, you will be having a DB layer. So DB layer is a highly secured one. So what can be done in the cloud is, instead of having a software defined VLAN layer, you can have a layer 2 layer, which will bring in more security to the infrastructure. Your DB layer can be more secured. Layer 2 segregation between security layers can bring in more security to the setup infrastructure. Let me go ahead. So one thing probably which we have covered in a different way. So we'll be talking about the cloud. So when you have cloud, how do I make sure the high availability and the data protection? So we need to have the application to be available in your second DC. So when you have two data centers, so high availability need two geographical location. So probably people call it DC-DR. In terms of cloud, it can be DC1 and DC2. Both can be load balanced. The kind of load which remote voting infrastructure would like to handle, it can be in a load balance. Geographically, the traffic can be diverted to a separate DC, specific data center. So all those things can be done. So how do you make sure that? So you can have an application replication. So you can also have the host-based replication. You can also have clone servers. So this is typically available only in the cloud. Your virtual machine can be cloned and kept. And also it can be replicated to your second location or the third location, how much of a DC you have. And also in each data center, to take care of your physical server breakdown, you can have the VMs provisioned from different hosts, which we call it the server anti-affinity, which we can have. And how do you protect the data? You can have a local backup repository. You can also have a backup media replication to a different location. So cloud definitely takes care of your data in terms of high availability of the application to the users, in terms of protecting the data in probably in trust and as well as in the transit. Now, can cloud provide all what we need for remote voting? Probably a very typical application needs a legacy application needs an IP bound server, or a particular licensing of an application does not allow you to VM. So that is what you can have. You can have combination of, you can have combination of your private cloud, public cloud, and beyond. You can have your managed hosting, or you can have your own data center. You can have your own co-location, where you can have a security device where you need a very high level of visibility and management and control that can be sitting outside your cloud. You need a very specific high-end mainframe which can be sitting outside the cloud, so that it can be interconnected together. Even this connectivity can be an MPLS VPN. India, every state is blessed with having the SWAN and NKN, different kind of network where the government offices are connected together. So if you bring all of them on the single platform, you can have connectivity from all government offices to the data centers of the cloud data center, as well as your on-premise data center. So all of them can work together to bring in the best what is required for the remote voting. Now coming to the BSNL, what BSNL do? So BSNL has got the pan-India largest connectivity provider. It has got data center service provider, co-location and managed hosting. It is also a cloud service provider. It has got the MPLS VPN, 1:1 internet lease VPN. Connectivity is a major criteria. Connectivity which does not fail is one of the robust requirements for the success of remote voting, and that can be brought in by BSNL. And it serves, and it has got a pan-India connectivity across all government organizations, and it extends its services to IT infra utility model, cloud model, pay as you use cloud model, secured infra at BSNL houses. The data centers are located in government houses, scalable to meet demands, self-service portal. You can have hybrid mix and match of private, public, and managed hosting and co-location to bring in the best what is required for the remote voting. And it's all SLA guaranteed services. Thank you very much. Any questions you can answer? And over to Jay.